What if you stopped wasting your energy on people who never truly valued you? What if, right now, you made a shift so powerful, it forced the world to take you seriously? Not tomorrow, not next week, today. What if today became the moment you stopped chasing validation and started living with quiet authority on your own terms? This isn't about being liked. This is about being respected. It's about reclaiming your energy, your time, and your power, and stepping into the life you were meant to lead. By the end of this video, you won't just feel different. You'll be different. If you're ready to stop playing by rules that were never written for you and start building a life that commands respect, this is your wake-up call. Because here's the truth. The world doesn't care about the excuses you've been rehearsing in your head. The respect you want, you'll never earn it by chasing it. The power you think you've lost, it's still there, waiting for you to reclaim it. And the life you're trying to build, it begins the moment you stop begging for approval and start standing in your worth. This video isn't here to coddle you. It's not about feel-good advice or sugar-coated motivation. This is about the raw truth. Truth most men will never face. But the few who do, they change everything. If you want to be the kind of man who commands attention without saying a word, who walks into a room and owns his presence, who lives life on his own terms and refuses to settle, then the work starts now. Today, I'll show you exactly how to shift out of the approval trap, set real boundaries, reclaim your focus, and lead your life with clarity and strength. This is your roadmap. This is the turning point. So if you're tired of being overlooked, undervalued, and underappreciated, drop a comment right now that says, "I choose respect over approval." Because today, everything changes. First, stop chasing validation. Chasing validation is the fastest way to lose respect, not just from others, but from yourself. Let's call it what it is, weakness. And weakness repels respect. When you seek validation, you hand over your power. You give others permission to define your worth. And here's the harsh truth. Society conditioned you for this. Since childhood, you've been taught to be the nice guy, to avoid conflict, to keep everyone happy, to shrink yourself for acceptance. It's a trap. And if you don't escape it, you'll stay stuck, forever bending to the opinions of others, never standing on your own foundation. Picture this. You're in a relationship. Things shift. Less affection, distant texts, cold energy. What do most men do? They panic. They try harder. They overcommunicate. They overcompensate. And what happens? She pulls away even more. Why? Because desperation kills attraction. And it's not just romantic relationships. It's how you carry yourself in business, friendships, even family. Neediness is unattractive. Always. So how do you break the cycle? Flip the script. Stop asking, "Do they like me?" Start asking, "Do I respect how I'm showing up?" Are your actions aligned with your principles? Do you respect the way you move through life? Because the moment you start living in a way that earns your own respect, not everyone will value you, and that's okay. Here's something we all have to come to terms with. Not everyone will appreciate you, no matter how much you give, and that's perfectly fine. Your purpose isn't to be liked by everyone. Your purpose is to become the most grounded, self-respecting version of yourself, whether people recognize it or not. When you stop chasing validation, you begin to attract something far more valuable, respect. And when you attract from a place of calm strength instead of neediness, the entire dynamic shifts. Recognize the warning signs. Reclaiming your power starts with awareness. You can't change what you're unwilling to confront. And let's be honest, most people see the red flags, but choose to ignore them because the truth is uncomfortable. It's easier to pretend everything's fine than to admit you're being taken for granted. But the signs are always there. It might start subtly, a change in tone, a lack of enthusiasm, or emotional distance. Or it might be more obvious: canceled plans, unanswered messages, or blatant disregard. Either way, those moments are telling you something. You just need to be willing to listen. Take a moment and reflect. Have you ever found yourself giving everything only to receive the bare minimum? Always the one initiating, always compromising, always making room for them while they barely show up for you. Here's the truth. People value what they have to earn. When you do all the work, you're teaching them that they don't have to. You're saying, without words, that your time, your presence, and your energy don't need to be earned. Here's a simple example. Your partner cancels plans last minute. Once, it happens. Twice, you start justifying it. 3 times, you feel the resentment build but say nothing because you don't want to seem dramatic. But in your silence, you're teaching them that your time can be discarded. And once that lesson is learned, it doesn't stop. Recognizing the signs is just the beginning. The real shift comes when you decide how you'll respond. The power of stepping back. When someone stops valuing you, the strongest move you can make isn't to chase them. It's not to explain yourself or prove your worth. It's to step back. Let me say that again. Step back. Why is stepping back so powerful? Because it changes the dynamic. It signals that your value doesn't depend on their recognition. You're no longer playing their game. You're no longer feeding their ego. You're no longer seeking validation. And in that silence, they feel your absence. Let's be real. When you're always available, always initiating, always overgiving, your presence becomes expected, predictable, easy to overlook. But when you pull back, not to manipulate, but to recenter yourself, everything shifts. They start to wonder, where did he go? Why isn't he reaching out? That's the power of absence. It forces them to sit with what life feels like without you in it. But make no mistake, stepping back isn't a tactic to get them chasing you again. It's about reclaiming your time, your peace, and your energy. It's you saying, I'm no longer pouring into someone who doesn't value me. I'm pouring into myself. And when that happens, something profound occurs. You become more centered, more confident, more fulfilled. Not because they came back, but because you came back to yourself. And here's the twist. By the time they finally realize your worth, you may no longer be interested. Because once you invest in yourself deeply, you'll understand. Your worth was never tied to their attention. You were always enough. You just needed to remember. So next time you're disrespected, don't react. Don't beg. Don't explain. Just step back. Breathe. Redirect that energy inward. They'll feel your absence. But more importantly, you'll feel your own power. 4. Invest in yourself. When was the last time you truly prioritized your own growth? Not as an escape, but as a commitment? And no, I'm not talking about distractions like scrolling or binge-watching. I'm talking about intentional self-investment, the kind that builds discipline, sharpens your mind, strengthens your body, and deepens your character. Because here's the truth. The world doesn't respect passivity, and no one values a man who's abandoned himself. Investing in yourself isn't selfish. It's necessary. If you're not growing, you're slowly fading. The mistake most men make is simple. They give all their time, energy, and effort to others, relationships, friends, people who barely reciprocate. They sacrifice their goals to maintain connections that drain them. And then they wonder why they feel empty, stuck, or lost. But when you decide to invest in yourself, everything changes. You tell the world, I matter. You tell yourself, I'm worth the effort. That belief shifts how you move, how you speak, how you carry yourself, and the world responds accordingly. So ask yourself, what does the best version of me look like? Not the man you've settled into, but the one you know you could become if you dropped the excuses, set new standards, and committed to growth. Let them feel your absence. But more importantly, let yourself feel your worth. Because when you stop giving your power away, you stop being overlooked, and you start being respected. Truly put yourself first. Let's be clear. Putting yourself first doesn't mean numbing out in front of a screen or scrolling endlessly on your phone. That's not self-care. That's distraction. What I'm talking about is real, intentional self-investment. The kind that reshapes you from the inside out. The kind that makes you wake up every day with clarity, confidence, and quiet strength. Because you know you're becoming the man you were meant to be. Here's the truth. The world doesn't reward mediocrity. And people don't respect a man who neglects himself. Investing in yourself isn't selfish. It's necessary. If you're not growing, you're slowly shrinking. There's no neutral ground. But here's the problem. Too many men give everything to everyone else. They pour their energy into relationships, overextend themselves for people who barely notice, and delay their own dreams for the sake of keeping others comfortable. And then they wonder why they feel drained, stuck, uninspired. So let's break it down. When you invest in yourself, you send a message, not just to the world, but to yourself. I matter. I'm worth the time. I'm worth the effort. I'm worth the energy. And that message, it changes everything. It transforms how you see yourself and how others respond to you. Start by asking this one question. What does the best version of me actually look like? Not the version that's settling, not the version that's on autopilot, but the man you know you could be if you stopped making excuses. Maybe he's stronger, more disciplined, more focused. Maybe he's financially stable, emotionally steady, and living with purpose. Now ask yourself, what's stopping me from becoming that man? And in most cases, the answer isn't external. It's not your partner or your boss or your past. It's you, your habits, your choices, your mindset. That's the hard truth, but it's also the empowering one. Because it means you don't have to wait for permission. You can change, starting now. Imagine this. Instead of chasing someone who doesn't value you, you put that energy into building your body, your mind, your income. Instead of waiting for approval, you create your own by setting goals and following through. Instead of worrying how others see you, you focus on becoming someone you respect. And here's the best part. When you do that, everything changes. You don't just improve your life, you shift your presence. People notice. They're drawn to the confidence, the discipline, the purpose. Not because you demanded their respect, but because you quietly earned it. So today, commit to just one act of self-investment. It doesn't have to be massive. Maybe it's 30 minutes at the gym. Maybe it's choosing a book over your phone. Maybe it's taking the first step toward a long overdue goal. Whatever it is, do it for you. Because the best version of you is waiting, and it's time to meet him. Set boundaries. Like a leader. Now let's talk about something few men are taught: boundaries. Too often, boundaries are misunderstood. They're seen as cold, selfish, or confrontational. But in reality, boundaries aren't about pushing people away. They're about protecting what matters most: your time, your energy, your peace. And without them, you invite chaos into your life. Let me ask you, how many times have you said yes when everything in you wanted to say no? How often have you stayed silent in moments when you should have spoken up just to avoid conflict? How many times have you tolerated disrespect to keep the peace? Every time you do that, you're sending a message, whether you realize it or not. My needs don't matter. My standards aren't important. I'll tolerate less than I deserve. And people respond to that message. They adjust to it. They believe it. Here's the truth. If you don't respect your own boundaries, no one else will. But boundaries aren't about being aggressive or unkind. They're about clarity. They're about self-respect. You're simply saying, this is what I will and won't accept in my life. It starts with knowing your non-negotiables. What behaviors drain you? What habits steal your peace? What compromises eat away at your self-worth? Maybe it's chronic lateness. Maybe it's manipulation or passive aggression. Maybe it's people who expect everything but give nothing. Get clear on what you won't tolerate, and more importantly, get comfortable enforcing it. Because without that clarity, people will set your standards for you. And the result? You end up living a life that doesn't reflect your values, constantly bending, constantly adjusting, constantly overextending. But when you start honoring your boundaries, something powerful happens. You stop over-explaining. You stop justifying. You stop settling. And in that stillness, people start to treat you differently. Not because you demanded it, but because you led with quiet conviction. So here's the challenge. Start today. Define one boundary you've been avoiding, one line that needs to be drawn. Then commit to honoring it, no matter how uncomfortable it feels. Because real strength isn't about how much you can tolerate. It's about how clearly you can communicate what you will no longer accept. You don't need to fight to be respected. You just need to stop accepting less. Enforce boundaries with quiet confidence. Here's the key. Enforce your boundaries with actions, not arguments. Words can be ignored, debated, or dismissed, but actions are undeniable. They speak clearly, without noise. If someone repeatedly disrespects a boundary, you don't owe them an explanation. You don't need to justify your standard. You simply enforce it, calmly and directly. If a friend keeps canceling plans last minute, stop making plans with them. If a partner continuously crosses lines you've clearly drawn, you need the courage to walk away. Your boundaries are only as strong as your willingness to honor them. This is where many men hesitate. They're afraid of losing people. They tell themselves, if I set a boundary, they might leave. And maybe they will. But here's the question that matters more. Do you really want people in your life who only stay when they can disrespect you? That's not connection. That's convenience. That's not love. That's tolerance masquerading as affection. The truth is this. Boundaries don't drive the right people away. They attract them. When you hold a standard, you signal self-respect. And the people who genuinely value you will meet you there. Those who don't, let them go. They were only ever meant to teach you something, not walk the full journey with you. The absence effect. Most men don't realize this. Your presence has power, but your absence can be even more powerful. People don't value what's always available. They value what they fear losing. If you're always present, always giving, always initiating, you may think you're showing loyalty. But what you may actually be doing is teaching others to take you for granted. Let me give you an example. There was a man who showed up for everyone. First to text, first to offer help, first to make plans. And at first, people appreciated it. But over time, they stopped reciprocating. They stopped showing up, stopped saying thank you. Why? Because his presence became predictable, and predictable things are easy to overlook. So he made a shift. He stopped texting first. He stopped showing up where he wasn't invited. He stopped giving time to people who didn't value it. And something interesting happened. People started noticing. They reached out, asked where he'd been. Some even said, I didn't realize how much you did, until you stopped doing it. That's the absence effect. When you step back, you create space. And in that space, people are forced to feel what life is like without your energy in it. Sometimes it wakes them up. Sometimes it doesn't. But here's the important part. You don't step back to manipulate. You don't do it to provoke a reaction. You do it for you, to reclaim your time, your energy, your focus, To stop investing in people who won't invest in you. Embrace unshakable confidence. Confidence. Every man wants it. Most chase it in all the wrong places. Society sells you a loud version of it, flashy clothes, luxury cars, alpha posturing. But real confidence? It doesn't announce itself. It doesn't need to. Unshakable confidence is quiet, grounded, internal. It's walking into a room without feeling the need to prove anything. You're not competing. You're not performing. You're simply present, calm, self-assured, steady. That's the kind of confidence that turns heads without raising your voice. And that's the kind of confidence that lasts. So how do you build it? It starts with one shift in belief. Confidence isn't about what you have. It's about what you believe. You don't need a six-pack, a high-paying job, or status symbols to be confident. Those things can be taken from you. And if your self-worth is tied to them, your confidence goes with them. True confidence comes from knowing you're valuable, with or without the extras. Look at the man who constantly flaunts his lifestyle. At first glance, he seems confident. But take the lifestyle away and you'll see what he's really standing on. Nothing. Now look at the man who doesn't need to say much. No flash, no performance, just presence, integrity, direction. That's strength. That's stability. That's unshakable. And it's earned. How? By keeping promises to yourself. Confidence is built through action. Every time you show up, follow through, and do what you said you would, you prove something to yourself. I can rely on me. Whether it's hitting the gym, starting that project, or sticking to a difficult standard, each small victory stacks. And that stack? That's where real confidence is built. Stop over-explaining yourself. Over-explaining is a subtle form of self-doubt. It's what happens when you feel the need to justify your boundaries, your standards, or your choices to people who haven't earned that explanation. And here's the truth. The more you explain, the less you're respected. Think about it. You say no to a plan and you catch yourself scrambling to justify it. You set a boundary, and when someone pushes back, you start defending it. What's the result? They don't take you more seriously. They take your over-explaining as a sign that you're unsure. Here's the shift. You don't owe everyone an explanation. When you know your worth, you don't have to validate it with a paragraph. You don't have to convince anyone. You simply say, "That doesn't work for me," and you leave it at that. If they push back, repeat it, calmly, confidently, without emotion. That's strength. Over-explaining drains your energy and signals insecurity. It's a habit worth breaking. How? Practice silence. The next time someone challenges your boundary or decision, don't fill the space with nervous words. Hold your line. Let the silence speak for you. Not everyone needs to understand you. Not everyone is owed access to your reasoning. You're not here to convince the world. You're here to live in alignment with your values. So keep your energy for what matters. Let your clarity and consistency do the talking. And for everyone else, let your silence speak louder than any explanation ever could. Cut the dead weight. Let's get direct. Are there people in your life holding you back? Maybe it's a friend who only shows up when they need something, a partner who doesn't believe in your vision, or a colleague who constantly disrespects you. You know who they are. Deep down, you've already felt it. They're dead weight, and it's slowing you down. Letting people go isn't easy. It feels cold, maybe even harsh. But here's the truth. Keeping the wrong people in your life is far more damaging than cutting them out. Every time you tolerate disrespect, inconsistency, or manipulation, you're sending a message. This is acceptable. And that message shapes your reality. Your energy is finite. Your focus is limited. So why give it to people who drain you? Imagine trying to climb a mountain while dragging a heavy bag full of useless weight. That's what it feels like when you carry people who don't grow with you. But the moment you let go, the climb gets lighter. Your steps get stronger. Your direction gets clearer. Cutting someone off isn't always about them. It's about choosing yourself, your peace, your goals, your future. It's about protecting the energy that fuels your growth. Because once you clear that dead weight, you create space for people who respect you, for opportunities that elevate you, for a life that reflects your true standard. It's not easy, but it's necessary. And once you do it, you'll never carry that kind of weight again. Reclaim your focus. Here's a question that cuts through the noise. How much of your time is wasted on things that don't move you forward? A woman who disrespects you. A friend who keeps taking without giving. A job, a conversation, a drama that doesn't deserve your energy. Let's be clear. Every moment you spend on something outside your control is a moment you're not building your future. And wasted moments, they compound into a wasted life. Focus is your most powerful resource. Not money, not time, not talent. Focus. Because where your focus goes, your life follows. But if your mind is scattered, caught in distractions, petty arguments, or the opinions of people who don't matter, you'll stay stuck. Not because you lack ability, but because you gave your power away. Focus requires discipline. It means walking away from distraction, even when it's tempting. It means protecting your peace, even when others don't understand. Reclaiming your focus isn't about being cold. It's about being intentional. Because when your attention is aligned with your vision, your life begins to accelerate. Fast. Reclaim your focus. Reclaim your power. Own your life. No more blame. No more waiting. No more pointing fingers. Whatever's in front of you, face it. Whatever's not working, fix it. No one's coming to save you, and that's not a problem. That's a responsibility. And responsibility is where your power begins. Next, get clear on your definition of success. Not what your parents think. Not what society pushes. You. What do you want to build? What kind of man do you want to become? What kind of life do you want to wake up to? Write it down, map it out, make it real. And then, act, small steps, daily commitment, relentless forward motion. Because a vision without movement is just a fantasy. And here's the thing. Dominating your path doesn't mean isolating yourself. It means surrounding yourself with people who sharpen you, people who challenge you, people who push you to rise higher, not pull you back down. You don't need the world's permission. You don't need everyone to understand. You need clarity, discipline, and the courage to walk a path most won't. Because when you own your path, you stop following. You start leading. And that's when life begins to move in alignment with the man you're becoming. It's about legacy, not in the future, but in the way you show up today. So stop waiting. Stop second-guessing. Stop holding back. The path is yours to create. The time is now. And the man for the job is you. Now picture this. You wake up tomorrow and you stop seeking validation from people who never earned your respect in the first place. You walk into every room with quiet confidence, not because you're trying to impress anyone, but because you know your worth isn't up for debate. The distractions that used to drain you, gone. You've reclaimed your focus, and you're putting that energy where it belongs, into your growth, your purpose, your mission. Now tell me, how much stronger would you feel? How much more respect would you command without saying a word? How unstoppable would you become? Picture this. The ones who once underestimated you now notice your absence. They feel the silence. They feel the shift. But by the time they come back around, you're too focused on becoming everything you were meant to be. You're not bitter. You're just busy, building, elevating, living a life defined by you, not by their limits. This isn't about fixing them. It's about transforming you. You're not here to beg for respect. You're here to embody it, to set the tone, to raise your standards, to build a life so solid that people have no choice but to respect it or watch from a distance. But here's the thing. None of this means anything if you don't act on it. Watching this? It's a start. But doing something with it, that's what creates change. So here's your move. Set one boundary today. Reclaim 1 hour of your time. Take one step toward the man you know you were meant to become. Because every powerful journey begins with a decision. And yours starts right now. If this message hits something real in you, don't just keep scrolling. Drop a comment below. I am ready to reclaim my power. Say it, mean it, live it, and hit that subscribe button, not just to follow this message, but to align with a brotherhood of men who refuse to live small, who don't apologize for their ambition, who move with discipline, conviction, and purpose. This isn't just content. It's a movement of strong, focused, unstoppable men. And now, you're part of it.